let me ask you one fundamental question about Sonic Racing Crossworlds DLC, specifically the one coming out in February with both Tangle and Whisper. What can Tangle teach us about Sonic's world? I have a whole bunch of stuff I can talk about right now, and I'm going to talk about it. Tangle being introduced in Sonic Racing Crossworlds means that new opportunities for lore have popped up. The first big one is where she lives, and where she came from is pretty bland. She came from Spiral Hill Village. This is important not because of Tangle themselves, but because of a resident known as Jewel the Beetle. One of Tangle's friends, she owns the only notable Spiral Village landmark, the Mineral Museum, which holds a lot of stones and stuff of that sort, and no stone in Sonic is just a stone for very long. But with both Eggman and the Hulk stealing from this place on different occasions, this has the capacity to be one of the most interesting places due to the fact that we don't know what's really in there yet. Like seriously, every time we see this place in a comic, it literally has a whole bunch of stones that could easily be the keys to some sort of like ancient thing that we don't know about yet, and Eggman is just like, oh man, the last time I came here I didn't steal this thing yet, so I need to steal this thing and bring it back and use it for something. The second biggest thing is her relationship with the characters Whisper and Jewel. These two build the backbone of who this character is in the current story. While Jewel anchors her to her home, giving her a reason to come back, they consistently try to keep each other out of extreme danger without being controlling. Whisper is a bit more complicated because Whisper is consistently traumatized and takes care of Tangle because it reminds her of herself before her previous team died. It's way deeper than that, but that's its own video. You also have Lanolin, but the less we talk about her, the better. The third thing for Tangle is that she has a unique ability similar to the Werehog. So it's not unique like at all, but Tangle can stretch her tail like she has Gaia energy. I mostly call it that specifically because that's the only place where I've seen that ability actually come up consistently. In fact, that is the only time I've ever seen anybody stretch manually without it actually being a part of their abilities to be able to stretch. I'm talking about squash and stretch type animation. I know I said a part of the abilities, but you know what I mean. You definitely know what I mean. So what else can Tangle bring us? Nothing. It's just another Sonic friend, and that's really disappointing. While she introduces a new cast when she's brought in, she has no real new lore except for the fact that they are a lemur. Like, yay! One more thing Sonic Forces 2 can make happen. Really though, Tangle's lore will heavily rely on the ideas being stacked on top of the current character. I just hope they can do it well. But is this a good thing? Okay, hear me out. With Tangle being just another Sonic friend, we are just spending time stacking on top of the character, adding layers to the character. The only thing you have to explain is the relationship with the more interesting characters. And that's a fucking good thing. That means we have one character we can knock off the chopping board and we can increase their importance and increase how good they are later on, instead of having to, hey, we have Tangle here, we have fucking Whisper there, we have Surge there, we have Kit, and then we have to like go between the four perspectives and make everything make sense. When really, what we should be doing is saying, hey, you get this focus, this character doesn't really need it because they are already a complete character. Even though they can change in the future, they most likely won't because they're like optimistic like Silver, but they're just more athletic and they're able to stretch their tail out like a stretchy bitch. A stretch bitch! You know, something like that.
And have the 3D special stage! Do it!
New Sonic 3 is now available at a store near you.
So, another question that I have that I was gonna upload this video, but then I realized I had another question. Do these characters actually fit with the original version of Sonic? I was thinking about this. And if they go back to Japanese writers and they kick out Ian Flynn, all these characters are just gonna get forgotten. So is it even a good idea to introduce these characters in the first place when nobody is going to keep them around after Ian Flynn goes away unless they get massively popular? Like, dude, IDW fans are going to have to support these characters like their life depends on it. Because let's be real, if you can just make consistent good arguments on why this character needs to be the way they are at this consistent time, they'll never go away, right? Shadow speaks for himself. Amy, Tails, Knuckles speak for themselves. And the thing I'm worried about when it comes to characters like Tangle is, does Tangle speak for herself? When I read something, okay, I'm gonna give you a little secret. When I read something, I cannot see emotion in the things that I read. I can only ever read analytically, which makes everything insanely hard for me, since I just cannot see words on a page and go like, oh, these words are trying to give off this emotion. No, I can't do that. So when I make these videos trying to discuss, hey, the lore goes like this, well then I just can't do it because the lore doesn't really vibe with it that well. You know what I'm saying?
ビュンビュンハリネズミどんなもんだでソニック登場この面白さったらもう目が離せやしないたまんないカットビアクションゲームソニック・ザ・ヘッジホッグメガドライブから
So about Tangle's ability being Gaia-based energy, I have no proof for that at all whatsoever. I said this because it's quite literally the thing. It's the thing. Tangle's abilities have only been seen under the context of Gaia energy. I know that everything in Sonic's world has chaos energy within it and is able to access it, right? The different levels they're able to access it to is completely different, but we haven't seen other lemurs in the Sonic franchise for me to compare it to. If I see another lemur and the lemur can't stretch out their tails but they can stretch out their arms, well then I'm gonna say, oh, their evolutionary trait that made them, you know, not just base lemurs, it's the fact that they can stretch, you know, they can stretch, they're the best stretchy guys, the stretchy bitches, you know what I'm saying, dude? But that's not what's going on here, and I can't understand why she has this ability when it could say things about this other thing, you know? Do I want to just go out there on a limb and say, oh my god, Tangle is connected to Dark Gaia? No. But what I am saying is that, like, there are parallels. There are, like, definite parallels running here. And I want to figure out if those parallels are meant to be the case or if they're not. That's what I really want to know. And then what is actually up with Jewel and the fucking Spiral Village, you know? Because as I get further and further into reading these comics to try to figure out, oh, is there actually something cool Lemur here can do? You know, I just look at Jewel the Beetle and I go like, that is an infinitely interesting character that you can just go like, hey, you have this artifact, you have this artifact, you have this artifact, you have this artifact. And the best thing is that they wouldn't even know that they're artifacts because they're fucking jewel collector hunters, Pete. You know? It's just that easy to write infinite stories with Jewel the Beetle going like, hey, I found this super cool thing and I think it's glowing. Tails, can you pick this up for me and tell me if this is actually a glowing thing that matters or if it's a glowing thing that doesn't matter, so I can keep it in my shop and I don't have to worry about it exploding. Tails picks it up, he goes like, oh, this is actually a Eggman device that he hid in the ground to attempt to grow a monster or something. And then you can go off with that. Or you can go like, oh, this unlocks some treasure. Hey Sonic, do you want to go find this buried treasure? Then you can have that story. Like, there's so many things you can do with Jewel that you just can't do with Tangle. You know, you can bring Jewel with you and go have Tangle talk to Jewel, but like, that would just be getting more on Jewel because Tangle, although she's a fun character to be around, she's not a character with real depth in any way that I genuinely care about, especially with reading. Okay, I just genuinely do not care about anything when it comes to reading Tangle. Lanolin is like one of those characters that I'm just not excited to see, because when you see Lanolin, she comes off as a moody individual. Like, moody in a way that isn't fun, but it's irritating. setting. It's like if you take Lanolin and Amy and put them in a room, you will see similarities there that makes them more unlikable together than they are apart. And definitely if you introduce Lanolin, you're gonna put Amy in that game because you want the women to talk to each other. Because let's be real, most female characters who go with Sonic are disappearing acts in like modern form. It's just, oh my god, dude, it's gonna be so bad when that character gets introduced. It's gonna be so bad. Bro, I'm so not excited. Oh my god. Okay, so here are the closing thoughts, like the legit closing thoughts. And like, dude, there's so much, bro. Tangle is one of the characters that is not introducing anything on their own. They're not really interesting. There's questions that I want answered about the character, but like on their own, they aren't an interesting character. And then you have, on the other hand, she's a gateway drug to everyone else. Dude, call me George Floyd, because I'm ready to get all the Tangle fentanyl that I can get, okay? The next video is going to be about Whisper and her stuff. She is way more interesting of a character. I can write about her for hours. I wrote the beginning section all about Tangle, and then the rest of this was off the cuff, because I just couldn't find anything else to say about Tangle that was cool. But I can't wait to just say so much stuff about the Wispawns. Like, sub, comment, thanks. I'll see you later. Have a great day. Peace. Bye.